All right, good afternoon. We're ready for our next case, and that would be Mr. Bone. Good afternoon, Mr. Bone. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your DOC number, please.
My name is Robert Bone, 375620.
Okay, and I'd ask counsel to please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, Ms. Renata. Robert Lancaster with the LSU Parole and Reentry Clinic here today representing Robert Bone. With me is Eliza Johnson. She's a second-year student. She's worked to assist Mr. Bone in preparation for this hearing. She also prepared the packet that was submitted to the committee in advance. She's not certified under Louisiana Supreme Court Rule 20. However, she is ready to make a statement in support of Mr. Bone when the committee deems it appropriate.
Okay, right, great, thank you. And let me acknowledge the folks you have there with you. You have Tina Latham, Elizabeth Thompson, and Chris Thompson. At the appropriate time, I think Ms. Tina has indicated she wants to speak on Mr. Bone's behalf. We'll call on her at the appropriate time. We also have by Zoom, friend Emerson Simmons and Carrie Myers with the Parole Project. Here representing the victim, we also have Ms. Deanne Dion, who's indicated she wants to speak, and we'll call on her to do so as well. First, Mr. Bone, I'm going to read some identifying information into the record. Then I'll ask you to verify it. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Roche. He has a presentation and some questions to ask you. Your case has been assigned to him. Then we'll hear from the facility staff and everybody who's indicated they'd like to speak. And before we hear from counsel, we'll allow you to make a statement at the end. Okay, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're Robert Bone. Your DOC number, as indicated, is 375620. You're here this afternoon seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in Lafourche Parish, February 2001, to a life sentence for a second-degree murder conviction. Mr. Bone, is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Before us this afternoon, we have Robert M. Bone, DOC number 375620. Mr. Bone is here this afternoon seeking a recommendation for a commutation of sentence for a second-degree murder conviction, which he originally pled guilty to on December 4th, 1996, and sentenced to life and hard labor at DOC without benefits. But on April 4th, 2000, Mr. Bone was released from DOC custody by a court order, and a new trial was ordered. This time, a jury trial was scheduled for February of the next year. His DOC master record seems to indicate that he was free until February 20th, 2001. On February 8th, 2001, over 10 months after his release by court order, a jury of his peers found him guilty of second-degree murder, the same crime that he pleaded to in 1996. On February 20th, 2001, the judge sentenced Mr. Bone to life and hard labor at DOC without benefit of probation, parole, or suspension and sentence. Mr. Bone was remanded back into DOC custody on the day that he was sentenced, after enjoying 10 months of freedom as a convicted felon. The original plea deal was vacated on March 30th, 2001, 1 month after he was sentenced for the second time to life at DLC. Mr. Bone is currently 49 years old. He was 22 years of age at the time he committed this murder. He's been incarcerated for 25 plus years, excluding the 10 months of freedom he had by the court order in the year 2000. Mr. Bone, today is the day that you tell this panel exactly what happened on that day in April of 1996. Your story has changed through the years. We need to know exactly what happened. Let's start with you flagging down the police in Thibodaux, Louisiana, and telling them that a murder had been committed at 501 Elm Street, and the subject in this case was a guy named Rick, and you made an attempt to stop Rick from murdering Miss Jolie and Arnold. So tell us exactly what happened.
Yes, sir. The morning of April 5th, 1996, I went to Thibodaux, Louisiana to return some belongings that belonged to Miss Arnold. Upon arriving, her and I got in an argument over some money that I believed Miss Arnold to have taken from me. After arguing, I grabbed a knife and I stabbed Miss Arnold. I was angry. I was hurt. I felt betrayed, and in a rage, in a heat of passion, I stabbed Miss Arnold multiple times. Upon leaving the residence, I did drive. I saw an officer. It was Good Friday. I saw an officer escorting children across the street. I approached the officer. I lied to the officer. I told the officer that I witnessed the murder, that he was black, that his name was Rick. The officer gave me a police escort to the hospital. Upon arriving at the hospital from wounds that I have had, and the amount of police officers that were there, I realized that Miss Arnold had died from multiple stab wounds. Upon further question, I continued to lie to the officers that it wasn't me, and that it was a black guy named Rick. After hours of interrogation, I finally realized what I had done, what had happened, and I admitted to the officers that it was me. There was no other person. I wasn't fighting off an attacker. That I was the one that took Miss Arnold's life.
So why did you fabricate the story that you told us when you submitted your application?
To say I was scared would be such an understatement. I was young. When I was young, I was a taker.
Sir, we're talking only a year ago, 18 months ago, when you submitted the application, you told us a completely different story. Why fabricate a story 24 years after you admitted to committing the crime?
when I submitted my application, I didn't have attorney help. I submitted it, but after submitting it, I realized that I victim blamed. I wrote on there that Miss Arnold had a knife, but that was still victim blaming. I was still making it her fault, and continuing to look over the application, I realized that that wasn't taking ownership, that wasn't taking responsibility, because nothing's her fault, that she didn't deserve this. I might have misarticulated what I wanted to say, but I realized that reading it after I had submitted it.
Thank you, Mr. Bone. Opposition in this case comes from Ms. Christine Russell, the DA of the 17th JDC, Sheriff Craig Webb, the Sheriff of the Bush Parish, the victim's mother, who's adamantly opposed to any clemency, Ms. Deanne Dion, and other members of our family have voiced opposition to your clemency. Mr. Bone has a low risk assessment, has a low needs assessment. He's housed in minimum custody. He has a high school diploma, college degree. His current job assignment is a mentor, and he's also a K-9 trainer worker with the PALP program. He has a good institutional record with positive remarks by his supervisor, programs completed, CPR training, 100 hours pre-release, anger management, cage of rage, thank you for a change, victim awareness, celebrate recovery, compassion, cultivation training, and many faith-based programs. Organizational participation, the Veterans Club, Pause, Project, Sober Group, and many others. He has a good transition plan with the Louisiana Parole Project, then with his mother, Ms. Judy Bone, and an employment plan in Folsom, Louisiana, with a wildlife sanctuary. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Disciplinary conduct, there's a total of 20 disciplinary write-ups and 25 years of incarceration. The last one, the last class we write-up was on October 16, 2011, contraband, about 11 and a half years ago. What was the contraband, Mr. Bond?
I'm not sure. I don't know what the contraband was.
Okay, so, but you know you got it right up,
Yes, sir.
and it was for contraband, and you don't remember what it was?
No, sir.
Okay, great.
Oh,
Uh,
Mr. The warden just told me, it was at the rodeo. It was a painting, that had barbed wire wrapped around the painting. And I received a write-up due to the barbed wire. The barbed wire was contraband. Thank you.
See, that explains to me it's better than drugs, that's better than a cell phone. That's why I want to know exactly what the contraband was. It just happened to have some barbed wire wrapped around the painting at the rodeo, and he wasn't supposed to have the.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about community service. You are a facilitator in a couple of good time programs and you worked as a mentor and teacher in the PAW program. Tell me about that.
Years ago, after taking, thinking for a change, at the time, I was under Mr. Abbott, thinking for a change. He saw a good quality in me to be a facilitator for thinking for a change. So working with Mr. Abbott, I went through a facilitator course in thinking for a change, and him and I conducted the first thinking for a change on death row. Him and I were working together, and that's when Mr. Abbott received a job promotion or a transfer out of Angola, and I conducted the first ever Thinking for a Change program here at Angola. PAWS program, PAWS is simply put Prisoners Assistant Warrior Service. We receive dogs from donations from our local shelters, and myself and a group of men train service dogs for our veterans who suffer from PTSD.
Thank you. I want to go over your letters of support, but I don't want to miss anything, so I'm going to go by the list that was submitted by your attorney, Ms. Johnson, in 1 second. You have letters of support from Stacy Cook, correction, she's in the correction, area 27, Bahia Wright, with a label of assistant professional, Carmen W., a religion teacher at Cathedral Carmel, Hillary Atkins, a friend, Miss Colonel Tina Latham, with the PAW program, Jonathan Stack, Chris and Maria Thompson, Kyle Abair, Ramona Abair, and Emerson Simmons. And I think that's the complete list that your student attorney submitted. And let me get back to their presentation. From what I discerned from the report I was given, you have very little family support. Your mother is unopposed, and she's going to supply a place for you to live, but she did not want to make a comment on this hearing. You two half brothers chose not to make any comments or make any statements concerning your request for clemency. Mr. Bone, have you ever been married?
No, sir.
Do you have any children?
No, sir.
Now, think back, Mr. Bone, you were incarcerated at the age of 22. And how many relationships do you think you were involved in that involve romance and or of a sexual nature before your incarceration?
Many, a good bit.
Yeah, many, and two or three of those actually testified against you at your trial. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So, tell me, give me a number. You said many. Give me a number. Would you say it was 5 or 10?
15, 20?
20. So by the age of 22 years old, you were involved in 15 or 20 relationships that involve romance and or of a sexual nature.
Yes, sir.
The last question, I see that you listed in the United States Marine Corps. And you received a hardship discharge after 2 years, 2 months, and 13 days. What was the reason for the hardship discharge?
My mother was diagnosed with severe depression, and I received a hardship discharge to come back to New Orleans so I can take care of her.
Were you in any relationships while stationed in California?
No, sir.
Warden Hooper, Warden Falco, do you have any comments, remarks, or observations?
Again, you did a good job on it, but he does play a major role in the Pulse program. He's very passionate to the program. He does give a lot back to the institution. He does mentor a lot of offenders. I've seen a lot of growth in him since I've been here the last 24 months.
Thank you, Warden Hooper. Madam Chairman, I do have a recommendation in this case, and I will share with my fellow board members at the conclusion of this interview.
Mr. O'Shea, Mrs. Jackson, has a question?
Just a couple, Mr. Bone. How long had you known the victim in this case?
Just under 2 weeks.
All right. And during that period of time, you developed a sexual relationship with her. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I will tell you, Mr. Bone, that I mean, you're only 50 years old. And if you were to be released, there'll be a lot of opportunities for you to develop romantic relationships in your life. And I'm concerned about what seems to me, outside observation, is that you develop some sort of obsessive attachment to her that led you to commit this act of rage because of your obsession with her. That's what it looks like to me from the outside. So what could you say to me or to the other members of the board to make us feel comfortable that that's not going to happen in the future relationships?
Yes, ma'am. Prior to coming to Angola, I was not a good person. I was a horrible person. I was a giver. I was a taker. I was a liar. I was a cheater. I was the baby of the family. In some ways, I was spoiled, and it wasn't females. It was friends. I wanted to be important for my own feelings. I wanted to feel needed. I like to be the fixer. So when I held my friends close on the morning of the incident, I was asked if I could get somebody's windows tinted, even if it's costing to come out my own pocket to pay for something. I was the person to say, yeah, I can get it done. I know a guy or I know somebody, but his relationships, I was selfish prior to coming to prison. Since being in prison, and it didn't happen overnight, I noticed when family and friends would come visit, I could see the hurt. Mom always left crying. Friends always left not knowing why I did what I did. So I had to look deep within myself. I knew my anger was a problem. So I started looking in the mirror to see what was broken inside of me, what I needed to address. And then I made a conscious decision to be honest with those around me, to be honest with myself, and I started enrolling in self-help programs. Cage Your Rage was a big one. Thinking for a Change was a big one. I saw where it was, I had to stop and think. It wasn't just my feelings, it was to understand the feelings of others. I'm a firm believer in that you choose your behavior, you choose your consequence. I chose my behavior that led me to Angola. I've taken programming seriously to where I worked from being a student to being a mentor. I've mentored Cage Your Rage classes. I'm mentored Thinking for a Change. I'm currently mentoring Celebrate Recovery and Reentry because I'm not perfect. It's a process. I wake up every day knowing that I can be a better man today than I was yesterday.
Okay, well, again, I guess what I haven't heard is why, really why, what compelled you or motivated you to take this young woman's life?
I was angry when I met Miss Arnold.
Angry about, what were you angry about?
When I met Miss Arnold, she looked for me. I felt that she needed help. I took her in to my apartment, me and my roommate. We gave her a place to live. And then when I thought that she had taken some money from me and my roommate, when she called me to return some belongings to her, when she was in Thibodeau, when I returned some belongings, we got in an argument over the money that was taken. I was hurt. I was trying to help her, and I felt that this was how could she do this to me? That I'm trying to help her, and we got in an argument, and that's when I grabbed the knife.
Tell me it was about money. How much money are we talking about?
Just under 1,000. It was for a couple months rent. I was backed up on some rent. It was a couple months rent.
So she took $1,000 in cash?
Yes, ma'am. I believe at the time she did.
All right, thank you. That's all, Ms. Enoch.
Okay, thank you. Could we hear now from Tina Latham?
Hi, I'm Tina. I've known Robert Bone for about 9 years now. I met him at the rodeo, buying some paintings. I was the first one who I bought his first puppy for him for paws. Since I first met him, I've noticed a big change in him from the way he would first talk and introduce himself, act towards people, in greetings, how he interacts with people, to how he is now. It's like a complete 180 turnaround. His whole attitude towards people. The way he is now, big difference. When he gets paroled out, hopefully he does, I will be a big support system like I am now towards him. We're friends. I'll stand by him just like I am now. We'll stay by each other. He's a big person. He lives up for what he's doing. You know, he makes a difference. He helps a lot of people in Angola. With every class he does, he teaches, he helps people. He makes a difference.
All right, well, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Mr. Simmons, could we hear from you, please, sir?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Emerson Simmons. I live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I own Academy Painting. I am also on the board of directors for Azimuth Leadership. It's a national organization that assists veterans returning to the civilian life, as well as professional athletes leaving the professional world and becoming civilians again. And I was brought onto the board to assist in a new venture where we're assisting formerly incarcerated as well as formerly incarcerated veterans rejoining society. 2.5 years ago, I was on this very board. Since that time, I've assisted in working with Parole Project. I hire people that are coming out of prison. I also mentor and speak to youth. I work within the Diocese of Baton Rouge, speaking to confirmation groups as well as at-risk youth. And I'm a very good friend of Robert Bones. What you don't see on paper in front of you right now about Robert is things that he does day to day. And haven't lived in the dormitory with Robert, haven't lived in the same camp with Robert, although we went to Bible college together. He started Pause. He was in the first 3 people that started Pause. I went through Pause with him, was in all the classes that he's mentioned so far as teaching. I was in the classes with him when he first took those. He is a leader of the inmate community, and within the organization of Pause, he's a leader there. He leans and leverages his life experience, and in the 20 plus years that I've known Robert, not one time has he shirked off responsibility for his crime. And I want to point out too, because I know that y'all don't, well, I'm sure y'all do, but y'all don't see it right now. That is the most stressful situation a human being in Bones situation can be in today.
Yeah.
Sitting there, re-going through everything, facing it in front of a group. It's not easy, and the words don't come as easy as they should when you're admitting to your wrongs. If Robert is released by this board, I will employ him if he needs employment. I'll house him if he needs to be housed. I've got a spare bedroom in my house. I am 100% willing to have him around me, working with me, working for me. When I go speak to at-risk youth, I'll bring Robert with me to speak also. He's worth having. We need more people with the leadership skills and the life skills that Robert has accrued over this time in prison. We need more people in our communities like Robert. And I thank the board for hearing him and being fair judges. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Myers.
Yes, good afternoon. Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. Here to tell you that we're prepared to bring Mr. Bone into our program to provide him the transitional services that he will absolutely need after 27 or 28 years, however long it would be till he would be released. We understand the needs that someone who has been incarcerated that long has, and we know that we can meet those needs. They're very important. I'd also like to say that, you know, our motto is believe in second chances, this organization. And if you believe in second chances, Robert Bone is a quintessential example of someone who's prepared himself for a second chance. Someone who's worked on himself, recognized, as he just told you earlier today, a little while ago, recognized who he was when he committed this crime, recognized that he was not a good person. And the things that he's done during his incarceration, the programs that he's taken, the things that he's been involved in to give back, not only to the community at Angola, but also in Pause to veterans with PTSD. He understands the value of giving back and second chances. So we would just ask this board to consider all the work that he has done over these years to consider his recognition of his own actions and the fact that he has an excellent support system, transitional program waiting for him, and grant his request today.
Thank you, sir. Now, at this time, we'd like to hear from Ms. Deanne Dion.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you want me to say some, my turn?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Turn.
Okay. I am, how can I put this? I am in shock, total disbelief that the way my daughter, my firstborn daughter, and he only met her, the first thing he did was take a butter knife and stabbed it in her head. He used 6 other steak knives all over his body. The corner, everything that is in the records. He didn't know. I don't know what I don't know. I knows a God in heaven, but I want him to go to hell. He's going to go to hell for what he's done. He has not. He's been behind safe walls where he can't do anything. Has he said anything about the other victims? The ones that have been afraid of him, that changed their car, one that moved out of state, one at the trial through Cam Morvat. He wanted me to subpoena her, and I said, no, she was in California. Don't do it. He's evil enough. He's going to go to hell as it is. That was my firstborn, my only daughter. It has destroyed my boys, my marriage, my heart. A part of my heart died that day. He no more deserves, I don't care if he's, my prayer, and I'm just going to be very honest, okay? He works with German Shepherds. I found that out. And don't think I don't know things about you, Robert Bone. I prayed that a German Shepherd would eat you up.
Dion, it's not appropriate for today.
Well, I'm sorry. At least I said it. Okay, I apologize. I will handle myself better. Take that back. I
Okay.
apologize.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We're going to move on now. Let me ask Mr. Bone, is there a statement you'd like to make before we turn it over to Ms. Johnson?
I just wanted to jump in here. I know I normally don't, but I was happy to see her say that. I think I would pray for the same thing. All right, we'll continue, and I'm going to jump in with my comments and also the court records of this after. So we'll go over the details.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. It's taken me a long time to get here. And I live every day knowing what I did. I can't go back and unchange anything. I take honor in knowing that I can be a better person today than I was yesterday. Angola staff has given me opportunities to speak to tours and to at-risk youth programs that come to Angola. And it's through the PAUSE program that I'm able to really understand what it means to understand the feelings of others. I'm so passionate about helping our veterans and learning that it's taught me a great deal about myself. I can go to classrooms and I can facilitate and I can teach and but it's life, it's everyday life that I have to use the tools that these programs has put in my pocket. I was telling people today that it doesn't stop here. What am I going to do if I get released? And what I want to do everything that I'm doing here. I want to continue to train and help our veterans. I want to continue to give back. I want to be a better person. In AA and Alcoholics Anonymous, we learn about it's a process. It's progress and not perfection. I live every day with remorse and regret, and the people that I've hurt. My mother, who's not here today, has had heart attack after heart attack, and she suffers from depression. I can't say that I didn't have anything to do with that. Her life has been horrible because of my selfish actions. And it doesn't end with the people I know. It's the victims that I don't know. It's past relationships. It's past friendships. I wasn't, looking back, I wasn't a good person. I was horrible. But over the years of self-reflecting and looking at within to see what's wrong and where do I go? How do I become a better person? How do I teach others? What the board doesn't know is that in 1992, I came up here on a tour and it wasn't impactful. I don't remember much from that tour. So when I speak to kids who come on tours, I try to leave with them the impact that is made on me and how being defiant to your mother can lead to worse things. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Johnson. I'd like to hear from you.
Thank you. Members of the board, on behalf of Mr. Bone and my professor, Robert Lancaster, we just want to say thank you for the opportunity to hear us today at this hearing as we are advocating in support of Mr. Bone's clemency. I want to give a little background on how we came here today. Mr. Bone became a parole project in LSU Law Clinic because I was here on a tour with Mr. Lancaster as part of our class. And we were just very moved by Mr. Bone's story and also the way that he emphasized our purpose in rehabilitation and supporting second chances, as Mr. Myers said earlier. Mr. Bone is not the same person that came to Angola over 20 years ago. In fact, as he has stated, my client is his own best advocate in saying that he came at a time in his life where he was broken. Life had become uncontrollable for him. He had control issues. He had anger issues. And during his time at Angola, he has been able to not only address those issues and work on his anger and learning how to not only control his emotions, but understand and accept that his actions are only his actions, and the emotions and actions of others are not something for him to address. And besides that, he has taken the opportunity in prison to help others achieve that same outcome and be able to seek actual rehabilitation, not by just taking classes, but being changed. And in all of his work with PAWS, in being a facilitator, in taking courses, taking the steps to make sure that he is utilizing his time at Angola in a productive way, despite not knowing if he was ever going to be released, is powerful, and it has an impact on not only those here in Angola, but those on the outside. We've heard from a lot of the people that are here supporting him today on how his paintings have moved them, on how his work through animals, which animals are very reactive and they can sense different emotions and they themselves have different needs. And all of the things that Mr. Bone has done while he is in here has just shown how he is completely different. And he has taken responsibility and accountability in several ways, and he hopes to do so if he is released. So we are asking that you see this as an opportunity for Mr. Bone to take everything that he's learned in here through all of these programs, through these animals that he has touched, through these people, these tours, and these different groups that come to Angola, and show them and show Mr. Bone, allow him to have an opportunity to have a second chance and to keep doing this work on the outside. So we are just asking that you would vote in favor of his clemency. Thank you.
Good job. I think we are prepared to vote. Mr. Rocha,
Yes.
you vote?
May I say something? Is that all that the mother of the one that he murdered? Can I
Yes, ma'am.
speak?
Ma'am, we're ready to vote.
Huh?
We're
You
ready to vote.
Okay, Madam Chairman, thank you. Mr. Bone, I've read the information supplied to me, and I've read it numerous times. My decision is based on the information that was given to me. After reading and reviewing all the information, the reports, the statements from the opposition, the statements from your supporters of clemency, it is my recommendation and it's based on the following. Due to the harassing and stalking nature of this crime, you have previous arrests in Harrison County, Texas, the Houston area, for harassment, stalking. There were multiple victims that was not involved in this offense that testified. I read all the transcripts. In my opinion, this is my opinion, I only have one vote, that you are a risk to public safety. You're controlling manipulative activity while in relationships leads me to believe that you are if I can't have you, nobody can. That kind of guy. I've supplied a place for you to live, and you are leaving me. That's pretty much what it was all about. And I think the risk to public safety, because of the egregious and deliberate act which you perpetrated on the victim, is so egregious, I don't think 25 years to be considered insufficient time served. The adamant opposition from the victim's family, very strong opposition from the DA's office and law enforcement. My recommendation is that we deny your request.
Thank you, Mr. Rocha. Now, Bella.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Bone, you've done a lot of good things while you've been in prison. You're low risk. You've got a good transition plan. You've taken a lot of programs. Ms. Johnson has done a fantastic job for you today. She climbed all of the things that you've accomplished. But I share Mr. Roche's concerns about the nature of this crime. And Ms. Jackson asked you a very pointed question about how can we be sure you're not going to repeat this offense or describe to us. And I was not satisfied with the answer. I worry that you might be a risk to society at this point. I believe that you've taken some very good courses that require that you look introspectively to try to come up with some answers. I just don't think that you're there yet for my satisfaction to get a favorable vote. You've worked hard. You've done a lot of very positive things. But my fear is that I'm not convinced you're ready to be released. I would like.
Thank you. Mr. Freeman.
Mr. Bone,
due to the warden's comments and your institutional record, your good reentry plan through the parole project, my vote would be to grant and compute your sentence to 50 years.
Mrs. Jackson?
Hi, Mr. Bone. This case was very difficult, for me. It was troubling, from the beginning, given the nature of the offense. And I specifically asked you to give me something to make me comfortable going forward on the outside. In a very structured and controlled environment, sometimes people function very well in controlled environments. But I'm concerned about you're only 50 years old, your next interpersonal relationship, and the issues involving control all concern me. Think right now you lack real insight into who you are and what actually led you to commit. It's really a terrible crime. I mean, to stab someone that you've only known a couple of weeks, 6 times, it is really concerning to me. So because of the nature of the offense, the lack of insight that you have into this crime, and quite frankly, 26 years is, in my estimation, is not sufficient for the severity of the crime. Today is to deny.
All right, thank you. So Mr. Bone, you've received 3 votes to deny your application for clemency. You know it requires 4 like votes for any favorable decision. You did receive 1 favorable vote, but today the outcome is that your application for clemency has been denied. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, so let's do it. One is, I just want to start with the mother. And I think how we have to say how brave she is for standing up here pretty much alone. If you look at the screen, it's everybody and then her. So let me ask you, where's the assistant DA? Where's the DA? Why is it not important for the district attorney that tried this case not a long time ago? We're talking about 1996. And the trial was what, 2000, 2001? Where are they? No, they're not here. They're busy making sure that someone who has possession of some pot, they're making sure that they stay locked up. Because they would be there for that, you know it. It's maddening. It really is. You're going to have a mother go up here who hasn't had a chance to maybe say anything. Maybe, maybe at the sentencing she got to say something. For the first time to come up here and say something, to think that maybe that he would get out. And the parole project, it's great for people who deserve it, but when you represent people like this, you just realize it just cements the fact that it's just a money making scheme, and it is. The man on the top, what's his name? Emerson Simmons. I Googled him. I'm not 100% sure, but if what I Googled is correct, the person with the same name also served something like 20-something years. And like his speech in support of him was just like laughable. It was like, I'll stay in my spare bedroom. I'll bring him to talk to youths. Oh, really? Because youths want to hear this guy talk and say every other word. This person has no business speaking to anybody. Please. it really is ironic that in 1992 he won on the tour to Angola. I didn't know that they did that, especially in the 90s. And he's like, I don't remember anything. Yeah, little did you know it was going to be your home, huh? It's just crazy. So the report, the trial. Well, actually, let's do this. The trial. He had just known her for, I think, 2 weeks. They met at a club. Like what Miss Jackson said, barely knew her, but it was so much rage. He stabbed her 22 times, 5 steak knives, and a butter knife. 4 of the steak knives broke. When he started to stab her, she crawled on her belly to try to escape through the back door. And he went and got a knife, and he stabbed and he stabbed and he stabbed, and it broke. And he got another knife, and he stabbed and he stabbed and he stabbed, and it broke. So he got another knife. He stabbed, he stabbed, and it broke. So he got another one. And then he got a butter knife. Well, I'm not sure of the order, but. And he didn't stop. And, he made up the stories, and somehow he got in on a technicality to get a retrial. The jury only deliberated on the second trial for 1 hour. That's how clear-cut it was. And then he changed his story over the years. And then, just like a year and a half ago, on his application, mind you, with all of the support, with all of these lawyers and all these parole project people, and he still lied on his application. He still lied on his parole application. He still blamed the girl he murdered. He still said that she came at him with a knife or something. That's crazy. And the parole people, and they still show up to support him. And, goodness gracious, the parole board got it right. This man is dangerous. It's scary. We don't have but girlfriends came up to testify and say how dangerous he was and how scary he was and his stalking nature. He looks like a big guy too. He didn't need a knife. No, but instead he used 5. It says it all when his own mother and his stepbrothers not only do they not come to his hearing, but they don't even provide words of support. It was like indifference. Was that what it was? No comment. No comment. And then in his last words, his last little speech, he tried to manipulate the board and to twist it by saying, which he probably took advice from his attorneys, I don't know, but he said his mother heart attack after heart attack after heart attack, and depression, and she wasn't able to, not, and that she's not able to be here, as if he's trying to manipulate them, as if to say that's why she's not here. But she even said no comment. She could have said she wants him home. That is a scary, when your mother won't even say, I want my son home, or my son won't even say anything, but she says no comment. That's really, in my opinion, pretty much all we needed. There is a God in heaven, but I want him to go to hell. If anyone belongs there, I believe this man certainly does. To take her life because you were mad. And then he comes up here and lies. $1,000. That was the best he could come up with too. She stole $1,000 from me, you know, it was my rent. I was so upset. He never like said how he had he never even was able to articulate that he has a serious anger problem, that he has a control problem. Instead he worded it like he always wanted to help people, and he always wanted to be the guy. And he used an example of what, like tinting or like car mechanic, I don't know, that he would recommend to a friend. And it's just like, he is the kind of guy that would get out and just, he would be a danger to society. I totally believe it. And it was interesting, at the beginning how this hearing opened up, but they're talking about girlfriends and sexual partners, and I'm just like, where is this going? But no, it all had a purpose. And it was funny. He's like, what did he say? He's like, oh, 20 to 25 or something like that. He was like, but he said it like he was proud of it. I don't think he said it as like, as like part of his defense, but I don't know, it might have been, the idea that he's had so many partners and he only killed one of them with stabbing them 24 times, 22 times. You got to be really mad to be. Oh, and also in the trial, it goes on. It just shows how he. I wish we could ask for if it was recorded, the interview. This wasn't a long time ago. Like the trial was in 2001. The detective said in the interview, he never, and they went through the whole interview transcript. He never once expressed remorse in the entire interview. And because he had, what is it? Did he confess in the first interview? Because he blamed it. First he made up someone. No, I don't think so. But so okay. The prosecutor said that although Bone reported, what a last name, Bone. That's like, just that last name alone is like, you just should be afraid of the man. Anyways, I know that's not fair to say. I was just saying. When she failed to return to his apartment one night, showed little concern about her death. Failed to return to his apartment. He showed no emotion except to talk about the injury on his hand. He had an injury on his hand. Of course he did. He just stabbed her 22 times and broke 4 knives doing it. To commit a crime with such passion, for the girl to have the presence of mind to go wash his hands, to worry about himself because he was cut. He held out a transcript of Bone's confession. Nowhere in his statement did he say he felt rejected. So he never cared about her, never showed emotion that she was dead. Remember, he's pretending that someone else came in and did it, and he was only talking about his hand that had a little cut on it. The mother said something else that I really liked, outside of the dog wanting to eat him, which I like that she shared it, and she needs to get it off her chest, and I'm happy she did that. And then at the end when she said, "Is that all that a mother can say? Is that all that the mother of the murdered can say?" And I felt that there are a lot of victims that wanted to say that to the board, because the board does not give enough time to the victims. You have this other guy who goes rambling on and what a great guy he is, and then they have Randy Meyer, and then they have his in-school attorney, and it's like, and they have his, it's like everyone's there staying, and then there's only one victim there. Like, board, read the room, give her as much time as she needs. And maybe I'm being a little hard because it just seemed like she stopped herself during her statement, and they do have a process, and they already knew that they were going to turn him down. But I don't know. It still just felt insensitive. Like, they could have said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry. We do want to let you speak. But we have a process, and we can't, there's an order of things, right? Like, the attorney has to have the last words." And it was just like very matter of fact. And I don't know. I'm just, I maybe that's nitpicking, and maybe I'm asking for too much of a La La Land, but that could just never be something that they would say. But I just get fired up again and again that here he is with all this support, because it's just a money scheme with the parole project, and he lies on his application, and he's really like, there's not much redeeming factors about him, in my opinion. I mean, what did he do? Did he get he got degrees, and he trained German Shepherds, which again is like, if you're going to do anything in prison, please, I have to be in prison for my whole life. Let me train dogs. That's not something that people should get commended for. I'm sorry. That's just not. That's like a gift. Yeah, his what is it, his girlfriend or his wife that he met there, his future wife? Yeah, she her life was probably just saved from this decision. It was a commutation sentence. It wasn't a parole hearing, so the governor would have had to sign off on it, like I said. But anyways, of course I am thrilled with the outcome. I think the parole board handled it great, outside of necessarily the question of the mother. I like how they drilled in there. And justice was served, in my opinion. Love to hear your thoughts. With that, I'll let you go.